الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. I'm getting a lot of these topics about how can you balance. It seems like in Denmark people are very unbalanced. How can you balance life and work, and how can you balance deen and dunya, and how can you balance studies and knowledge of Islam? Since I came, it's been balancing things, right? What's happening, Denmark? Things aren't balanced here? And you guys are serious, huh? Somebody died? You guys are like British people? British people are cold, man. Who's British in here? British people don't react. La ilaha illallah. My first lecture I ever gave in the UK, ever. In America, you just say anything, everyone's ah. So I'm giving a lecture in the UK, and everyone's like this. I said, let me give him some of the good jokes. Gave him a good joke, everyone's like this. One guy in the back goes, he laughed, this guy. So when we left the event, I said, what's wrong with the audience? They're not responsive whatsoever. He said, no, they were very responsive today. Did you see that guy in the back? Okay. Relax, you guys. All right. You know what happens when you live as a minority amongst a majority? You feel pressure now because you're a minority. So there are typically 4 ways to react. You find a minority living amongst a majority, they have to react one out of 4 ways. Number 1, they reject their own values, even their own cultures, and they completely take the culture of the majority. And that happens. They dissolve and they just melt in with everybody else. That's one thing that happens. See, it's not a big problem when it's culture, but when it's values, religious values, that's the problem. The other extreme are people who will reject the minority, they will completely reject the ways of the majority. And so you find a Muslim living amongst a majority in a non-Muslim country, and they completely reject everything. And they want to live like they're back home or overseas. And it's not realistic, and they expect like their children are, for example, in America. Until recently we had this issue where people are born and raised in America, and you ask them, where are you from? And the guy goes, I'm from Pakistan. And he tries to sound authentic. I don't know if you know this, but if you're authentic Pakistani, you don't say I'm from Pakistan. If you're authentic, you say I'm from Pakistan. My Pakistani brothers, you know what I'm talking about. Who's Pakistani in here, of parents or of origin? Yeah? Yes, my people. Come on now, you guys are laughing because I'm black. But I lived in Pakistan for 5 years. We can do this lecture in Urdu if you want. क्या आप चाहते हैं कि उर्दू में अंग्रेजी में बोलूं? Okay, so what happens is that you completely reject the values and the culture and the norms of the surroundings, and you want to live like you're somewhere else. And realistically, in Canada, you tell the guy, where are you from? He's like, I'm from Pakistan. No, you know what? No Pakistani ever liked ice hockey. Okay, not ice hockey. That's a Canadian thing. Don't tell me you're from Pakistan. The guy is here like, where are you from? He's from Denmark. So, oh, I'm from Iraq. That's why actually in the US, I never ask someone, where are you from? I just say, look, where is your country of origin, meaning your parents, where are they from originally, or something like that. Because they're American now, I don't know if you have the same identity issue here. But I'm assuming that I'm speaking to a room full of Danish people. You're Danes, right? I'm not assuming that I'm talking to a bunch of Arabs and Pakistanis and Somali and Danish. That's an awesome combination. You guys know about Somali people? Can I see the Somalis in the audience? Allah Akbar. Yeah. Now you know my love for Somali people. Yeah? You do? Come on now. Somalis are the most awesome people on the planet. They're the greatest, for those of you who don't know Somalis, they're the greatest people on earth, right after the Sudanese people. That wasn't a joke. Somalis are great people, man. I love Somalis. And they love to have bananas with their food. And you think that's funny, but when you taste it, it's really good. If you're non-Somali and you had bananas with your pasta, put your hand up. Nobody tried it? Try it. It's really good. It's really good. They said they're going to rename Somalia to Banana Republic. The clothing company. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3, which is the fair and decent one, is you mix both. You live as a minority amongst the majority. You mix both cultures. You take the best of here and the best of there. But you don't get rid of your values, especially your religious values. Those stay no matter what. But culturally, you're from your country now, your new country if you want. The 4th one would be to reject both, and that's a type of extreme. Inshallah. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. The 4th one is to reject both. So number 1, you completely ignore the culture of the majority. Number 2, you completely reject the culture of the majority and you take your culture and you try to live like you're still back home or something like that. Number 3, you mix both, and this is exactly what happens. This is what happens normally. You mix both. And number 4, you reject both. Someone takes another subculture and they become a goth or a punk or something and they leave both. Now, how do you balance your life, your religious life, with your personal life, your da'wah life versus career, your Islamic studies versus secular studies? And in our religion, everything is supposed to be balanced. Everything. Even halal things are supposed to be controlled and balanced. Even the halal things. Even eating is supposed to be balanced. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that in the Quran. وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا. Eat and drink and do not go in excess. Don't exceed. Everything should be balanced. The scholars mention even something that's halal shouldn't take over your life. For example, an nasheed. It's halal to listen to nasheeds, Islamic songs and all that. But if it just takes over your life, it's not good. Because the only thing that fills your heart is what? Allah Azza wa Jal. That's the only thing that fills your heart. But all day you wake up, play a nasheed. In the car, a nasheed. In the shower, and all these nasheed are all sad and stuff. I don't know why they're always like that. You hear nasheed, it's like, Allah, we're doomed. Then when she's like about to die, khalas, man. Do you have health problems or something? Okay. Oh man, let me tell you something. You want to talk about balancing life? Forget balancing life. It's already not balanced. It's already a losing game. It's just so bad. Look, you know how your life is spent? Wallahi, it's sad. Wallahi, it's sad. First of all, you spend 1/3 of your life sleeping. Okay? So that's 1/3 gone. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's not like, oh, I'm going to save some time to stay up. No, you're going to have to sleep, sweetheart. You're going to fall asleep. So 1/3 of your life is gone, sleeping. They estimate, at least people who live in America, they will, in their whole life, they will end up watching television from 10 to 12 years of their life will be spent watching television. Can you imagine that? Your life is time. Not time is money. Time is your life. Isn't that the case? Time is your life. Every day that passes by, your life got shorter by 1 day. Every time you sit and watch TV for 2-3 hours or 5 hours, you just killed yourself for 5 hours. Anytime you sit and watch and play video games. Video games? La ilaha illallah. Big problem for shabab. These busy shabab play video games all the time. I hear some of these stories, unbelievable. The guy will play video games until 3 in the morning. Not getting up. He's got something that looks like this. He's talking to some other nerd halfway across the world. He's like, okay, get him. I'm coming from the back door. You're not doing anything, wallah. You're just wasting your time. He stays like this until 3 in the morning. Prays Fajr, wakes up at Dhuhr. Okay, I'm back. I've got no life. You know? I always say this story, but I'll keep repeating it, man. This guy in Ramadan, he comes to me and he was playing this game where you can use different armies and conquer the world and stuff. In Ramadan, he's driving me home after Taraweeh. And I think somewhere, reality and the game got mixed up in his brain. Because he tells me, right now I'm playing something of empires, some kind of game. And he said, I'm using the army of Abu Bakr, and alhamdulillah, all of Europe has come into Islam right now. It's like, for real or in the game, What happened to you? And we're not even counting, look, 1/3 of your life spent asleep. Yeah? 1 year of your life, one study in America, and I'm assuming the rest of the world is more or less the same. One study in America estimated that a man will spend about 43 minutes a day looking at women. 43 minutes a day looking at women. You know what that adds up to? It adds up to 1 year out of a lifetime looking at women. So on the Day of Judgment, you have to explain 1 year of this to Allah. 1 year of looking at women. Same study said women, they spend an average of about 23 minutes a day looking at 10 different men. That comes up to be 6 months out of their life staring at men like this. Brothers, 1 year. Wallah, it's sad. You know, you spent 2.5 years of your life sitting on the toilet and brushing your teeth. Not at the same time, of course. But maybe it's better to do it at the same time. You'll save some time. 2.5 years sitting on the toilet and brushing your teeth. You will spend 6 months of your life standing in line, queuing up, waiting for something. Lines at the airport, waiting to pay some bill, waiting to go see a movie. 6 months of your life will be spent like this, standing in line. 5 months of your life, complaining. We went to the restaurant and we asked for meat, and when they brought the chicken, it was not stunned, and then I said, do you have stunned? And he said, no, the stunned is frozen. 5 months wasting time complaining like that. You know how much time we spend eating? About 3 years of your life eating. Imagine 3 years. For 3 years, yeah? And then there's work, and then there's driving. It's also somewhere around 3 years just driving. This is in your life. And then you start to see that you have little life left. And this little bit left, you want to read some Quran, you want to spend time with your family. They told you if you have a full-time job, you only see your children how many months out of the year? If you have a full-time job, you work 8 hours a day, that's already 4 months out of the year at work. And if you sleep, and most people do, that's 4 months out of the year as well. That's 8 months. How many months are left? 4 months. If you work a full-time job, you see your children 4 months out of the year. Time is just going. Going. You want to talk about balance? What balance? Everything's gone, man. What balance? You know how much time you spend in the obligatory prayers? 1 year. In the 5 daily prayers, all of them that you do in your life, you will spend 1 year in obligatory prayers. Wallahi, it's shameful that we will meet Allah Azza wa Jal with 1 year of salah and 2.5 years sitting on the toilet and brushing our teeth. Who feels bad about that? Nobody? This is when you put your hand up. Yes, thank you very much. 2 people feel bad about that. Sisters feel bad, 1 sister feels bad. 2, 3, 4. Excellent. It's horrible, Allah. Horrible that I'm going to meet Allah with 1 year of salah, 2.5 years just brushing my teeth, sitting on the toilet, things like that. 6 months complaining, standing in line, 5. Horrible. I'm convinced there's only one way to take your life back. Wallahi, I'm convinced. And if you have another way and a better system, please share it with me. But I'm convinced the only way to take your life back is by making dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. Dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. When you call companies, do they put you on hold? They play horrible music, they put you on hold. You know how long you stay on hold in your life? 20 weeks. This in America, we call a lot of places, we're many in America, and they put you on hold for a long time. You will spend 20 weeks out of your life on hold. Now, the Prophet said, he taught us to make the dhikr and saying Subhanallah wa bihamdihi 100 times. And in the hadith he said, if you say Subhanallah wa bihamdihi 100 times, there will be no one on the Day of Judgment who has done something better than you, except the one who said it more than you did. You understand? You say Subhanallah wa bihamdihi 100 times, you will be doing the best job on the Day of Judgment. Unless there's someone who said it a few times more than you, he'll be better than you. What if you make a deal now? I want to take my life back. Every time I'm standing in line, I'm going to make dhikr of Allah. Every time I'm on hold, I'm going to make dhikr of Allah. If you make it a plan now, every time you're on hold, you're going to make dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal, that adds up to 20 weeks of straight dhikr of Allah, saying Subhanallah wa bihamdi. You know how long it takes you to say subhanallah wa bihamdi 100 times? Someone take a guess. And I'm talking about reasonable time. Reasonable time. You know how people make tasbih now? They say Allahu Akbar after salah? Lakbar, 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 lakbar. Hamdulillah, 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 hamdulillah. Who is this hamdulillah? Spallah, 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 spallah. This is dhikr of Allah. Some people, this is a true story. There was a lady, she would make tasbih like this. Subhanallah, 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 subhanallah. You understand? Double. She says it once and counts it twice, mashallah. I'm happy that she's not counting using her feet also. Now, I'm not talking about super fast dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, how many times can you say it? 100 times. How long does it take you to say it 100 times? At normal speed, take a guess, what do you think? 5 minutes? 2? 3? We're gonna get 4 and a half, 4 and a half, 4 and a half. No, let me tell you something. So we timed it, right, for a group. It's about 2 minutes and 15 seconds, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. In 2 minutes and 30 seconds, you can say subhanallah wa bihamdi at a good speed 100 times. If every time I'm on hold, which is going to be 20 weeks out of my life, every single time I'm on hold, I'm saying subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanallah wa bihamdi. And 20 weeks in your whole life when you're on hold, you know how many times you would have said subhanallah wa bihamdi? In 20 weeks? Straight? 8,064,000 times. You understand what I'm talking about? Man, I need some black people in here, man. Come on. Black people. You know, you're not even black. I mean like African American black people. Anyone African American in here? Okay, forget that. Who's Egyptian in here? Come on now. Yeah? 3 Egyptians. La ilaha illallah. 4 Egyptians. And the problem is you're not even real Egyptians. You were just born and raised here. You eat mulukhiyah once a week, you think you're Egyptian. That's the problem. Come on people, react, man. Okay, I'm going to say it again, pretend you're moved. Just pretend you're moved. Okay? Pretend you're American. So if you say subhanallah wa bihamdi every time you're on hold, that will add up to 8,064,000 times. Alright, very good. There's still not, I swear. You got this. Okay. I think that's exciting now. The only way to take your life back is making dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. It's being lost. So I'm driving dhikr of Allah. We have a brother in our area, in the Washington DC area, we have the worst top 10 traffic in the country, in America. Of the worst top 10 are traffic. You actually spend 21 days a year sitting still in your car in the middle of the road, stuck in traffic. 21 days stuck in traffic. Imagine someone sits in their car for 21 days, day and night like this, sitting still, not even moving. That's a lot. Believers take advantage of these times. One guy, he learned this. You know what he did? He memorized the entire Quran in his car. The entire Quran. He would make a photocopy of 1 page and he would clip it on the dashboard. The traffic stops, he reads a verse, he starts memorizing it, keeps repeating it. And just by going to work and coming back, he memorized the whole book of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is the thing about time, is that we always think that it's going to be a chunk of time when we can sit down and study something. Chunk of time we're going to sit down and learn. How many Muslims, I don't want to embarrass anybody, but how many Muslims are trying to learn Arabic for the last 8 years? 8 years you're trying to learn Arabic. Yeah, I'm trying to learn Arabic, brother. I'm sick and tired of meeting these brothers who are trying to learn Arabic. Because after 7 years, they just come to you and this is what they can say. كيف حالك? I won't have to make your voice like that either. You can just be normal. You know my name. Don't bother me with this stuff, man. One of the most annoying things when a brother's trying to learn Arabic, he comes to practice on you. Masmuka. Which means, what's your name? Like, you know me for 5 years. What? Why are you asking me this question? Go practice somewhere else, yeah. 7 years ago, trying to learn Arabic. I knew a sheikh. He learned 2 languages in a few months. One of them was a very rare language, way up in the mountains. Very rare language, he learned it. Because language primarily is 2 things. You learn about sentence structure, and some of the rules and the grammar and so on. Then the rest is just learning more vocab words. So, he's a busy man, and everyone in here is busy, correct? Now, think about your next week's schedule. Next week's schedule. How many of you have an open chunk of 5 hours in your next week's schedule? Probably none of you. Put your hand up. Don't make me look bad. Well, no, really, you have five hours free, a chunk like that? There's somewhere to fill it. Even if you have 5 hours free, you're gonna put, okay, I'm free. 5 hours. You're gonna find somewhere to fill it, right? So, none of us have a 5-hour chunk that's free next week. So, I'll memorize Quran when I have a chunk of 5 hours free. You're not gonna sit and memorize for 5 hours. So where can you do it? It's these moments scattered throughout your day. These moments are unbelievable, they're incredible. And they add up to hours upon hours upon hours and days out of the year. And I know people who will read books upon books every week. How? Every minute they get, they take it out, they read a paragraph or so, they read a page or so, or a few lines. Every minute they get on the train, they read. They're standing in line, they read a little bit. They're walking from class to class, they read a little bit. They complete so many volumes of books in months and months because they take advantage of the little moments. Oh, I found a great book. Inshallah, I'm going to read it on Tuesday because from 12 to 4 I'm free on Tuesday. Really? So you're just going to sit for 4 hours reading this book? No, you're going to get bored. You're not going to read for 4 straight hours. So read in these moments. This sheikh, he learned these 2 rare languages and he did it by, he'd have note cards that would have vocab words. Lots of note cards. And he'd put it in this front pocket right here. He says, I stop at a traffic light. How long is the traffic light red? 30 seconds. He'd take the notepad out and start memorizing words. Light's green, he drives on. I know people who are like that also. There's some people who sleep little during the night, and they say they sleep at the red light. When they stop at a red light, they fall asleep. So someone asked him, how do you wake up? He said, the car behind me will honk. I'm not making this up, people. People that realize they're racing against time. You can learn languages like this. Oh no, the only way for me to learn language is to travel from here and live in Egypt and own a camel and... What for? You can learn right here. But you just have to learn how to take advantage of your time. You meet brothers who are so busy. Like, who are you, the prime minister or something? The guys are so busy. Then you keep talking to them, 30 minutes, and then they're like, yeah, yesterday I was watching a movie and... Wait a minute. You're watching a movie? So you have like an hour or 2 every day. Yeah. Oh, I'm an avid movie. I love movies. Actually, that means you have a couple of 2-3 hours every now and then. Lord of the Rings is 3 hours. You sit there and watch that. That skinny naked guy rolling on the floor all the time. I haven't seen that movie, but every time it's playing, I just see this skinny gray thing on the floor. You want to watch Lord of the Rings? No, thank you. I think I've seen enough. Watch 3 hours of some guy rolling on the floor. Anyways, that's another level of nerddom that I'm not, the Hobbit and stuff, that's a nerd level that I'm not aware of yet. With all due respect to the nerds in the audience. So we're saying that you want to take your life back, it's the dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal, making remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These moments, you learn languages, memorize the Quran, read books, learn things in these few moments. And now knowledge is at your fingertips. And if you consider the amount of knowledge that's available to us right now, you will actually conclude that people are quite ignorant today. People are quite ignorant. They don't know about a lot of things. Even a major religion like Islam that's in the headlines all the time, you'll find people and they have the internet and they have so much knowledge at their fingertips and huge libraries where the books are free and they don't even know what that is. There's a lot of work for us to be done. Some of my friends in Canada, they said they made a big sign, put it on a table like this, and it said free Quran. They said this old lady came up to them. She said, what did Quran do exactly? She thought the Quran was some man and he's in jail and they're trying to say, free Quran, get him out of jail. So she said, what did Quran do? That he ended up in jail. We were trying to free Quran. He said, no lady, free Quran. Take this, go home, read it. Okay? That was so easy. Allah, it's so easy. Yani Allah Azza wa Jal chose the most incredible people to call to his religion when it was difficult to call to his religion. The stories of Ibn Mas'ud when he went out and he publicly in the courtyard started to recite the Quran. And when you know his biography, you know he's a thin, skinny man, weak physically. He started to recite the Quran out loud in front of the Quraysh. They were shocked. And they started to beat him so hard, the narrator says, His face was so swollen, we couldn't tell his face, his nose from the rest of his face. That's swollen. When he comes to, he said, if you wish, I'll repeat the same thing tomorrow. Oh, Akbar. He will repeat the same thing tomorrow? These are the heroes Allah chose to spread Islam when spreading Islam was difficult. In our times, spreading Islam is easy. You can say what you want, it's easy. Because when you talk about Islam, nobody tries to burn you. Yeah? When you talk about Islam in America, no one tries to torture you or beat you because you're talking about Islam. People are very nice to sit and listen to you. People become Muslim for the easiest reasons. I shared this story 2 days ago. This guy, we said, how'd you become Muslim? He says, I was buying drugs from the drug dealer. And while he's giving me the drugs and I'm giving him the money, he just said, you know who the best people are? Those Muslims, they're the best people. Okay, that would be $100. Yeah, thank you. Right here's the drugs. Okay. He said I went home and smoked everything. Then, next morning, I woke up and I thought, that drug dealer said the Muslims are the best people. I wonder why. He said I started to read about Islam and he became Muslim. He became a da'iyah as well. You know what that means, brothers and sisters? Start selling drugs immediately, that's what it means. And just make sure when you give him that, by the way, the best Muslims are the best people. Thank you. Jazakallah khair. Telling you people, wallahi, it's so easy to give da'wah in our times. How do I balance it? You're walking, talking da'wah machine all the time. All the time. Your behavior is da'wah, your appearance, especially sisters, you can't escape that, mashallah. Your appearance is da'wah. You make any mistake, they apply it to your religion. You're well-mannered and everything, it's positive da'wah that's happening. One guy, my friend asked him, how did you become Muslim? He said, I don't want to tell you because you're going to laugh at me. He said, I promise I won't laugh. He said, well, one day I walked into a public bathroom, public restroom, and I found all these grown men washing their feet in the sink. You understand? They're making wudu. Like he walks in, he's like, why on earth are they washing their feet? What's wrong with those people? Everyone at work, you wash your hands maximum, but nobody takes their socks off, washes their feet. And they're probably embarrassed that he caught them. Because usually when people make wudu, they hope nobody walks in on them quickly. Right? They hope nobody sees them. And now someone walks in and is like, oh my God, this kafir now sees me washing my feet. This man was moved that they were washing their feet. He saw, for you it's embarrassing maybe, but him, he thought, wow, these people are washing their feet before they stand before their Lord? That is maximum respect. And he became Muslim because of that. You told me it's that easy? Yeah, sometimes it's that easy. Sometimes it's that easy. You have to do anything incredible. This is a story, it's just a funny story, I just want to tell it. This guy said, he was, one of the shaykh my shaykh told me this story. He said this guy, he said he was at an ATM machine. He's getting money out of the ATM and everything. He said, so a guy, this is America, so a guy put a gun to his head. He said, give me all the money. He said, he said, give him all the money. He said, I handed him the money like that, and I felt this man was going to kill me. So I said, in a low voice, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. The guy said, oh, you're Muslim? Oh, salam alaikum. He's like, you can keep your money. I'll get the next guy, inshallah. Enough people come to this ATM machine, no problem. Can you imagine that? Man, look, you want to balance everything in your life. You want to balance your religious studies with your secular studies. Don't be one of those young people, oh, Allah's not going to ask me about my degree on the day of judgment, and therefore I should only... Don't do that. That's nonsense. Don't do any of that stuff. You won't find a scholar that will encourage you to do that. That's just nonsense. Alright? So, balance everything. Balance deen and dunya. Balance da'wah versus taking care of your family and taking care of yourself and advancing personally. Personal development. You want to build your career. You want to build your resume. You want to get whatever degrees and get to the next degree, the next one, keep going, getting higher education. So you don't want to leave anything, oh, this is part of the dunya. No, use your dunya to get to the akhirah. Just like you can take anything with you to the next life, you just have to convert it into currency that's acceptable in the next life. Reward, ajr. You can convert anything to reward and take it with you. You can take your whole house with you, just sell it and give it I'm not saying you do that, but the idea of converting things and taking it with you You're able to do that. So balance things, because we don't want to lose track and lose sight of our final destination in the akhirah. And you have to decide what you want to leave behind. Wallahi, last night on YouTube, so I'll tell you honestly, man, since I've been here, all I hear about is Shaykh Ahmad Abu Laban. Shaykh Ahmad Abu Laban, rahimahullah. He did this, he said that. Every gathering we go, someone mentions his name. Rahimahullah. You understand? We watch his janazah on YouTube. Yeah? And As'ad, the brother As'ad, was sitting next to me. And I wanted to cry, but I can't cry. Men don't cry in front of men. I just hold myself, because the number of people that showed up, it was incredible. So Allah to forgive him and to give him Jannah, inshallah. Everyone's still talking about his legacy that he left behind. The question is, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? What do you want to do and achieve in your life that people will remember you with after? And if it's some kind of sport and yeah, you could kick the ball like this and all that, yeah, people will remember that. They'll keep playing clips. But is that what you want to be remembered for? This guy's a good dancer, I don't know what. Yeah. Oh, there'll be many people who remember you and come to your funeral. But what kind of people? And Michael Jackson died. By the way, did he die Muslim or non-Muslim? Muslim? Who thinks he was a Muslim? Put your hand up. Who says non-Muslim? Who says I don't know and I don't really care even? Actually, we finally confirmed he died a non-Muslim. And it's not like we're happy, we would have liked him to die Muslim. But a friend of a friend personally interviewed Jermaine Jackson, and he asked him, did Michael Jackson, because nobody's interested in Jermaine, right? Who cares about Jermaine? The guy sits down with him, thank you for doing this interview. Tell me about Michael Jackson. Michael and Tito, who cares about Jermaine? Right? He said, first question, did Michael Jackson become Muslim? He said, we gave him da'wah, and no, he didn't become Muslim. I know we thought that because he was wearing niqab and everything, but no, he didn't become Muslim. So, yeah, he died, and the whole world heard about his death. I was in Azerbaijan when he died. And you hear, wherever you are, you're going to hear Michael Jackson died. There were two shepherds in the desert. One of them is playing the flute, the other one comes to him, hey, you heard? What happened? Michael Jackson died, I just heard on Twitter. The other guy's like, how do you have Twitter? We're in the desert. The point is, everybody heard. But what's the result? What's the result? You know what people did at his funeral? They started playing Beat It and dancing. Yeah? That doesn't help. Yeah, a lot of people remember this person, but what quality people remember this individual? Until recently, it was for many years the largest janazah ever was that of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, rahimahullah. The eyewitnesses that were at his funeral, they said they calculated 1,000 men and people at his funeral. What's 1,000? 1 million. 1 million people. And for the longest time, that was the largest janazah in the history of Islam. Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, the day he died, schools closed, businesses closed, priests cried. Why did the priests cry? Ibn Taymiyyah wrote volumes of books refuting Christianity. The priest should be happy. The priest cried because he said, I'm not crying because the man died. I'm crying because all the good he used to do, no one's going to do it anymore. What does that tell you about the believing man and woman? That they do so much good that it affects their community, it affects their surroundings. That when they die, people feel the difference. That's how the believing man and woman is. You know, there's some people who travel the world and they tell people, you know what, don't forbid evil. If you live in Denmark and people are selling drugs, that's none of your business. It's halal for them to sell drugs. No, it's not. Oh, they can do whatever they want. It's their country. But it's your country too. What kind of a message is this you're giving people? And that's why Allah tells us, كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ. You were the best nation brought forth to humanity. And nas means everybody, Muslims and non-Muslims. So Allah is telling you, you were the best ummah, nation, brought forth for humanity, for Muslims and non-Muslims. Why? تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَلَى الْمُنْكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. You enjoin what is good, you forbid what is evil, and you believe in Allah. So this is what makes you the best. The believer, the good comes out of them, oozes out of them, and they affect the community. And we feel the difference. You know, in some parts in America, especially the dangerous neighborhoods, when a masjid and the Muslims move into the neighborhood, the people are happy. The non-Muslims are happy. Oh, very good. The Muslims now are moving to the neighborhood. There are going to be no drugs, no killings. They're going to clean it up. That's how Muslims everywhere should feel. For many years and decades we lived in America and nothing came out of the Muslim community. If we donated, it went back to the Muslim community. If we helped a poor person, it was a poor Muslim. The khair never touched anyone around us, and that's really sad. One time they were going to build a masjid in one city, so the people in the neighborhood, they said, we don't want a masjid in the neighborhood, because it's going to be parking and chicken bones everywhere, we don't want that stuff. And we do that now. There's one masjid in a very clean neighborhood. Every Jum'ah, it looks like a hurricane hit the neighborhood. Plates over here, chicken bones over there. Yeah? So they said, we don't want a mess, we don't want a masjid in the neighborhood. So they had a town hall meeting, and one uncle got up and he said, we have a right to build a masjid here. We have been part of this community for 25 years. So a lady stood up, she said, you've been here for 25 years? I've been doing soup kitchen. You know when you give soup to the homeless? I've been doing soup kitchen for 20 years. I never once saw a Muslim help out. You understand? You're telling me you're part of the community? We don't feel your presence. And the verse we just mentioned shows that everyone should feel your presence when you're Muslim. You bring good to the community, you bring good to society. Everyone's happy when Muslims come to town. That's how it should be. If people aren't happy, we're doing something wrong. True or false? True. So you want to leave a legacy when you die, what kind of person you want to be remembered as? We said the largest janazah, and until the death of Ibn Baz rahimahullah, the janazah of Ahmad ibn Hanbal was the largest janazah in the history of Islam. And after the death of Ibn Baz rahimahullah, it was the largest janazah ever. It was the largest janazah to this day. But sometimes there are not even enough people. One of the great scholars from the early Muslims, his name was Imam al-Barbahari, rahimahullah. And this man, he had some people created problems between him and the government. So he stayed in hiding. Towards the end of his life, even though he was a great scholar, he lived in hiding in some woman's home. He rented a room from her, and he was living there in hiding. No one knew that. And when he died, only one man came to wash him, because he was in hiding. So this one man washed him, and then he led the salah in the room. He said by himself. So he washed the body, put it down, and he did the janazah prayer. The old lady who owns the house, she said, I opened the door to the room, and the room was packed with men wearing white. Packed with men wearing white. And when the salah was over and the man came out, she said, who are all these men in the room? He said, what men? He said, the room was entirely packed full of men wearing white. I saw them. He said, I was alone, lady, there was nobody in there. Yeah. So even when people don't celebrate or are not there at your funeral, the righteous people, the angels come and fill these gaps. So who do you want to be at your funeral? And what do you want to be remembered as? When you die, all they do is just show replays of you kicking a ball and stuff like that. And you can be a soccer player, it's not a problem. We're not putting that down. But you can also be a soccer player, and you can be a great influence on your community. A great influence on the Muslim Ummah. So, I'm still convinced, making dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. And this is something that it's training. Like I want to train my tongue to constantly be mentioning Allah, wherever I am, whatever I'm doing. And when you do that, it stops a lot of sins as well. You're making dhikr of Allah, you can't be staring at women and mentioning Allah. It's very hard to be saying astaghfirullah, 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 and looking at women. Yeah? Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, subhanallah, Allahu Akbar. Suddenly the dhikr changed, I see. So, how much time do I have? 50? 15? 50 minutes. So, balancing da'wah, balancing deen, personal life, and I said this story a few days ago, but listen. There was this brother, he was like one of the most active du'at ever. He used to work really hard for da'wah. And then he put that on hold a little bit and he started to take care of his family. And one of his partner, his old da'wah partner, he said, I'm very upset with him because he stopped giving da'wah like that. But he says, at the same time, I realize that he's a better human being now because he takes care of his family. How the extremes that we have are just incredible. We have some people who have absolutely no time for Allah and His Messenger, no time to help the Ummah advance one step forward. And then we have other people who are always working for the Ummah, quote unquote, and they neglect their family to an incredible degree. There was one brother, and every time he opened his mouth, he's talking about how the deen is going to move forward, how we need to work for this religion, and so on and so forth. And then the way he treated his wife was another story, which is another test for people. Like what kind of person are you really? You know what I'm talking about? In front of people in the masjid, you just khalas, huh? The sweetest guy. Always astaghfirullah, walhamdulillah, wallahu akbar. And then at home, a monster. And there's some people like that. They're monsters at home. Bad words, bad language, everything is horrible at home. That's why the Prophet said, خَيْرُكُمْ خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِهِ وَأَنَا خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِهِ. The best of you are the best of you to their family, to their wives. And I'm the best amongst you to their wives. Why the wives especially? Because if a man is nice to his wife, most likely he's also nice outside of the house. But a man can be nice outside of the house, he's a monster to his wife. True or false? True. And you'd be surprised. We know this brother, every time he opened his mouth, Shaykh so-and-so is giving a class, Shaykh so-and-so is doing this, Shaykh so-and-so is teaching that class. And then what happens? He beats his wife so severely. And I don't know how you think you could be a good Muslim and mistreat your wife like that. Like he would beat her like in a savage way, the way you would beat a gang member in the street or something. Double axe handle to her back, knee. Sisters are laughing? I don't know, what happens in Denmark, huh? Sisters beat men in Denmark, maybe. That's why they think it's funny. Huh? Knee to the stomach? Who needs a woman to her stomach? And then he would drive her to the hospital. He beats her so bad that he takes her to the emergency room. And because she doesn't speak English, he tells them, she fell down the stairs. Next week again, she fell down the stairs. But he has to take her to another hospital because she can't be falling all the time. Anyways, this guy, that's all he talked about. But at home, this is how he behaved. Yeah. Where's the balance there? I was talking about how when you dislike a quality in somebody, you make sure you don't have that quality in you. Yeah? We always watch the news and politics and these tyrants and dictators, and we dislike how they are. That they're stealing, that they're doing all these bad things. How could this man rob millions of people, rob the millions of dollars from his people, put it in his personal bank account? How dishonest. Okay, then you test yourself. Are you dishonest? Do you keep it balanced? Or are you just like this person, just a smaller version? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Mubarak and Gaddafi and those guys. So, are we like a mini Mubarak and a mini Gaddafi? Or are we better than them? Are we like a mini Abu Bakr maybe? And every one of us, Allah put us in charge of a group of people. How do we behave with that group? How do you behave with your employer? 10 minutes late? You just put it. You come there 8:10, you put 8 o'clock on the time card. You come back late from lunch, 15 minutes, Bismillah, put it like that. All these minutes, they add up over the years. It's money you don't deserve. People at work, they're watching games and stuff. But the deal is, you get paid by the hour here? Is your salary by the hour? Yeah, so you get paid by the hour. So that means they're paying you for your time. They should own your time now. You're supposed to be working for them. This is the guy. He's watching the basketball game. He minimized it because he's clever like that. It's nice and small here. And then he's watching the basketball game or whatever. What's your favorite sport here? Soccer? He's watching the soccer game. And he's pretending to work. When someone is walking by, minimize. Yes, fiscal year, profit margin. Yeah. That's not honest. That's dishonest. That's like a mini Gaddafi again. He just steals in the billions, and you steal a little bit here, a little bit there. Oh, wow. I'll be like Abu Bakr if I run the country. Really? Doesn't look like it from what you're in charge of right now. Then there's the guy who Islamicizes, he halalifies his stealing. He's not going to watch soccer. He will listen to a lecture. It's all not good. It's all not good. Wow. That's what the Prophet, just everything in his life was balanced. Young men, like I've been getting this question a lot. Is this a problem here about balancing things? You find the guy just goes all out, drops school, burns down his house and everything, moves away from his mother. She's not Muslim, right? And then ends up doing what in the end? Or people who just have absolutely no time for their religion. What's the value of those people? How about I just stop?
10 minutes.
Okay. Very good. You know, Imam Malik rahimahullah, when he was a young boy, he wanted to become a singer, right? And his mother wanted him to become something better than that. So she wanted him to become a scholar. And she did something amazing because she dressed him up like a little scholar. Made him interested in that field. You know, what happens when you dress a small child like a little sheikh? He just looks like she's got the bisht, you know, maybe the ghutra and the turban and stuff. And look at you, you're a little sheikh and stuff. This is exactly what we do with our children now. We buy them that kit that has the plastic gun, the police badge, the plastic handcuffs. You tell them you're a police officer. And they go around all day arresting people in the house. Yeah? You tell them you're a doctor, you give him that little plastic stethoscope, and he walks around wanting to be a doctor. You're a firefighter, you get him the hat and the plastic axe. He walks around, I'm a firefighter. What do you want to be when you grow up? Firefighter. What do you want to be? Police officer. How many times do you meet a young person? What do you want to be when you grow up? An imam. A sheikh. One time a friend of mine, he said, I called someone's house. His younger brother picked up. He said, what do you want to be when you grow up? He said, I'm a religious man. He said, wow. Everybody wants to be a vet, and this guy wants to be a religious man. I would love to see one day after Jum'ah, a man would bring his son or his daughter, put them up on the minbar after everyone's gone. Put them on the minbar and say, look, you're the sheikh now, speak to everybody. Make them love that. Make them love learning about the deen. This is what Imam Malik's mother did to him. So he just adjusted his goals. You want to change someone's behavior? Change their goals. Your behavior is always linked to your goal. He wants to become a singer? What's his behavior going to be like all day? All day writing songs. No, your eyes, that's better, your eyes. Yeah? All day. In the shower, singing all the time. Hanging around with musicians, learning an instrument. That's what he's going to spend his time doing. You made him in love with something else, something better. And now, how many years later? Over 1,000 years later, and we're still talking about the man. Rahimahullah. Because now he left a legacy. But the question is, like, what if you say, look, I'm not a scholar, or I'm not able to, or I don't think I can pursue knowledge and become a speaker. That's wrong. Because da'wah isn't just becoming some kind of speaker. Da'wah isn't the man behind the microphone. It's a number of people doing a number of things together. And they all count and they're all important. Whatever skill Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, there's a way to use that for His religion. Whatever skill Allah has given you. And you can pick the hardest skill and there's a way to use it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's deen. All you guys who know some kind of technical stuff, camera work, poster design, Photoshop, you can use that. Design posters, audio sets, everything. There's always a way. Women especially, so many avenues for women to give da'wah to. And I kind of understood, and I could be wrong, but I got I've only been here 3 days, but I kind of already understood that women are kind of pushed away from a lot of Islamic events and Islamic centers, and you know, how much work can the women do? Don't speak, your voice is awra, okay, go over on that side, don't come here, don't do, and women do all the da'wah work, true or false? Not in Denmark? Man, in America, in Canada, and in the UK, all the women do, look at the women's, don't look. Look at the women's section, and look at the men's section. Women are sitting all the way up to the stairs, and maybe somewhere outside, yeah? They do a lot of work, and we're just good at making fun of them, right? They do a lot of the work, the da'wah work. So, can the woman do a lot of da'wah work? Can she talk to men? Can she stand at a da'wah table? Can she take part in the masjid? And the scholars say as long as the Islamic rules and the etiquettes are there, the woman can engage in da'wah work. The rules and the etiquettes, she can't sit alone with a man. There's not going to be any touching. The dress code is going to be correct. And the talk is going to be within this field of da'wah. The minute we start talking about other things, then we have a problem. Beyond that, yeah, they can do all the da'wah work they want to do. And if they don't do it and they don't have access to classes and everything, then here's the guy. He wants to prevent women from learning the deen, but then he wants to marry one of them and he wants her to raise righteous Islamic children. But without any knowledge, what's she going to do? How's she going to raise them like that? All they know is whatever's in her head. If it's not with Islamic knowledge, what's the value of that? Okay. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, when at some point wanted to make hijrah. Before making hijrah with the Prophet, he was going to make hijrah by himself. And he met with a man who was the leader of the Ahbash, and basically of the Habish, where the people who, the freed slaves over the years, they settled in one area. And this was their leader. And when he saw Abu Bakr leaving, He said, as a person like you shouldn't leave, and he should not be caused to leave either. Meaning, you're a good person like you should never be kicked out of his city. And then he gave Abu Bakr protection so he could go back and remain in the city. This is a non-Muslim, and he recognized the value of Abu Bakr. So your value should be recognized in the community. But like we said in the first lecture, if you don't recognize your value, no one else will recognize it. The way you see yourself is equivalent to how others see you. So if we just see ourselves, we're not productive members of the community, we're this, we're that, then that's how the rest of the community will see you. And if you see that you have something of value, some contribution to the society, then people will see you in that way as well. And there have been people who lied, and there was one da'iyah, while he was doing his PhD, everyone in the city knew him. The mayor knew him by name, everybody knew him. He had izzah, and he was respected, and he would engage people in dialogue, everyone respected him. So imagine every other Muslim was like this person. Yeah. That's why one of the people who, during the time of Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah, he said that whenever the Shaykh spoke about a topic, you felt like he spent his whole life preparing that one topic. His whole life was just preparing that one topic. Then tomorrow he speaks about a completely different topic, and you feel like he spent his whole life preparing that one topic again. And we're not going to say everyone should be like that, but today everybody wants a piece of you. True or false? Everybody. Yes or no? No? Yes? Yeah? Everybody. The atheist wants to challenge you, so you got to be able to talk to them. The Christian wants to debate you, you got to be able to talk to them. Then within Islam, this deviant man and this guy and this guy and this guy, everybody wants a piece of you. You have to be able to answer everybody. And then there's all kinds of contemporary issues and misconceptions and things that are in the news. How do you answer all that? And you can't choose to be here and not engage in that. It doesn't work like that. And you can't choose to be here and not give any type of da'wah. Alright? So I think I'll close here, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan for your attentive listening. Sallallahu barak ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.